In order to create lists, sometimes, for example, if we want to create a list of items, so there is a concise and powerful way. There is a really concise way and a powerful way to create those lists. For example, you have to write a single expression in order to write. For in other languages, what you have, if you want to create a list of different numbers, sometimes you have to take input one by one, and you cannot write the code. You have to write a thing in different loops and things like that. But here we have list comprehensions, by which by applying this expression, you can actually generate a lot of things by using the single line. I'll just show a simple example of that thing. So for example, if I go to the code window again, so here you can see that I have just defined a list squares. Okay, so I'll just clear this. The first thing is I'm creating an empty list squares. So in that, what I'm doing is I'm then putting the square of numbers. For example, from range 1 to 5, so we'll get numbers. So if I just run this code over here, so initially we had a list, empty list. In empty list, what I'm doing is for each number I'm squaring it, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 5. I'm putting 1 square is equal to 1, 2 square is equal to 2 square is equal to 4, sorry. 2 square is equal to 4, 3 square is equal to 9, 4 square 16, 5 square 25. So I'm squaring all these numbers and putting in a list. So as you can see that in the code, what we are doing in the first case is we are running a for loop for it. We are running a for loop of each number and then squaring it. If you see, the output will be 1, 4, 9, 16, but it is a little bit difficult. You have to use for loop. So what I am telling is we can do the similar thing by the comprehension. You can see this list of comprehension. What we have done is x. This is called exponential operator. X square for x in range 1,6. We have created the list out of this. I think my screen is blazed. So by just using this command, you can do the similar thing that was previously done by these many things. You can just create it like this. So for example, if I run this code now, you can see it again gave the same input. So I can change the range here to just differentiate it. So this is a powerful tool. You can see that without even writing these lines of code and appending the things, I was trying to append these numbers. I just wrote this x square for x in range of 1 to 7. I told you the guy was a mathematician. Now it's clear why a guy was a mathematician. So if I see how in the mathematics, how do we write? We write, for example, for all x comma y belongs to real numbers, a set of numbers such that x, something like this. So if you see in the code, it is similar to that. Squares, x square for all x in a range of this. You can see the mathematical notations being used here. If you have read about sets, there is the roster form, there is the set builder form and things like that. So you can see in that we write it like this. So list comprehension is actually a powerful tool to create lists and manipulate these things, because these things can be used to take multiple inputs as well. So I have also mentioned how to now take multiple inputs. So here user will prompt enter multiple values separated by spaces. Then values will use a split method to create those values, and then we can use those values. And again, same thing can be done by comprehension of the values as well. So here we'll say int values for value in values. So we are just using the list comprehension to take multiple values. This also uses your list comprehension though. So you can do the similar thing. For example, input enter multiple values separated by spaces. I'd like to run this probably to show you in a much better format. So enter multiple values. I'm saying 12, 13, 14, 15. So I have entered 4 values at one go. So what will happen is now this line will run. This values, it will split this 12, 13, 14, 15. It will split it, and then it will assign it to int values one by one, like separately it will be assigned, and then we'll get this in a printed form like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So just enter it. Invalid little int with a base 10. We have to separate it by spaces, because here we have split by spaces. I put a comma, that was my mistake. So I'll say 12 space 13 space 14 space 15. So you can now see it. Now you can take the integers. That's why you have to take care, like while programming. And having an error in a program is a good thing. If you are having an error, you know where to get wrong. So usually there is a famous meme: if my code runs in a single go, there is some problem with it, because there will be a mistake and I am getting the result. So this coming up the errors and then fixing the errors, it will be a usual process in coding. So you'll get some errors, you have to fix it, because you cannot keep the eye on everything. So here I am just using the split method with spaces. I was putting a comma in between, it did not identify it. Okay, the same thing can be done by list comprehensions. So here I can enter multiple values using separated by spaces, and then I can do the same thing. For example, I'll write 5 space 6 space 8. Okay, so here you can see 5, 6, 8, they were separated and put into a list of these int values. move on to this print function. So now you know how to take an input from a user और उसके बाद उसको typecast कैसे करते हैं. You learned all of this stuff. Now you have to print it on the screen in somehow. So for that we have a built-in function print. So here I have written that it actually is a fundamental function. It actually is a fundamental and versatile and built-in function. By built-in I mean you don't have to write the functions this function on your own क्योंकि तुम लोग functions भी खुद लिख सकते हो. But here you can just call this function as it is. So for example we saw this print hello world. So this will print hello world. If you give a name Alice and then age 30, and if you print these two lines, it will print the name is Alice and the age is 30, something like that. So we actually did this in the previous class as well. Okay, now moving to the output formatting. Why did I want to tell you how to print things on the screen? Because you just have to print the things, because sometimes you have to format the things. So तुम्हें कुछ properly दिखाना है. For example, you want some space, it should be on the left, it should be on the right side, or it should be centered or around that, or there should be some special symbols or things like that. So you have to format the input. So for that I wanted to show you what are the different methods by which we format the output when you take input and you want to show the output in a certain way to a user. So for that we have what is called as output formatting. Okay. So in output formatting, it's all about presenting the data, how you present the data in the structured and visually appealing way. So for example, I can show you some numbers which won't make sense, but if I structure them, so that will be visually appealing and that will be easy to understand for you people as well. The first thing that we will be using is called as f strings. We also will be using string.format, all the old style percentile which you guys are using from the days when you learned C or C++ programming. First thing, let's see how to actually format this, how to format the output that is to be present to the user by using the f strings. So if I go to the code window, if you see, I think my code window is visible. So the first thing is I'll use these f strings. So if I want to see, initially how I did is I was printing, for example, Alice and Alice's age. So you can see directly I needed two print statements for this. So when I had to do this, so if I run the cell, you will see the name is name is Alice and age is 30. But if I want to show like this, the name is for example, person's name is Alice, person's name is Alice, and her age is is 30. So now you can see I used what is called as f strings here. So f, the syntax is like this: you have to put an f, then a double quote or a single quote, then you can write a string that you want to output. Then you can see in these curly braces you have to write this variable, name variable. So for example, if you don't write this f, then it will throw an error. So if you again see how I am writing it, I am writing f, then invert quotes, then I am telling it to print the string that I want to print. Whenever I want to print anything that I have assigned the values for, these basically are called placeholders. These things, they're called placeholders. So I am just putting a placeholder in here. So the placeholder actually has a name here, so Alice will get printed. Then her age is, again I am putting in the placeholder. The age is 30. So if I run this, you can see person's name is Alice, her age is 30. So do you know how beautifully we are formatting this? So because we just had this information 30 and Alice, so we had to put it in a better way to the user. जब भी कोई user तुम्हारी website या even तुम्हारा software use करेगा, you will see some clean lines coming up. But we have to write these things. For example, जब हमने बताया कि कोई किसी का नाम Alice है, उसके age 30 है, then we'd like to print a statement like this. For this, sometimes we use f strings. So f strings, use the syntax, we'll put initial start with the f, then we'll put the single or double quotes, then we will write the string that we want, and there we'll be having these placeholders. So this is one method in which you can give a structure or format what you want to output. Then we have what is called as string.format method. This format is also a function. So if you see this string, it also allows you to format what do you want to output to the screen, or what do you want to output to the user. It's in the similar way. For example, if you see it here, name is Alice, then we are 30. So output is like this. So format output is like this. So we are saying name and then putting a placeholder. I say this is called placeholder. Then age, again a placeholder. Then we are saying format it and giving the arguments and name and age. This name will go in the first placeholder, this age will go in the second placeholder. Then we are printing this format output. So if I show you my code screen, it's like this. So you are first formatting the output, then you are printing it on the screen. So for example, if I want to say like a residence. So where does Alice reside? So I'll say, for example, New York. So if I want to create that person's name is, I'll put a placeholder. Okay, person's name is a placeholder. Her age is, so I'll again put a placeholder, and then she is from, then again I'll put a placeholder. Now in this format I'll have to give this residence as the input as well. For example, I'll go press Ctrl V. So now I'll print this formatted output. So now the expected output is person's name is Alice, her age is 30, and she's from New York. So if you see that, person's name is Alice, her age is 30, she's from New York. What if I just change these parameters? For example, I'll keep this name here and I'll keep age in the front. So what will happen is, I said that mapping is 1 to 1. You can see that this first placeholder will get the output what is here in the age, and this second will get what's in the name, and this third will get what's in the residence. So now we'll have a jumbled output. If you see it, name is 30, her age is Alice. So you have to take care of this, how you format this. So this should be in order. So you cannot put these things in out of order. So this is the second method by which you can also format your output when you format. The first method was by using app strings, and the second method was you can use string.format method. Again, then we have something which we call as old style format by percentiles. If somebody is from C or C++ background, so they might know that we put some percentile F, percentile D, or some things like that. Okay, and then we'll output. If you see, again see this Alice and 30. Now we'll format output like this. Percentile S means we'll put a string in here. Percentile D means we'll put an integer over here. So similar thing, this is also called as placeholders. But now we use these percentile symbols. S means string, percentile D means it is an integer, percentile F means it's a float, things like that. So I hope I don't need to again sort of explain this, because this is self-explanatory now. I'll just run that code cell in order to show you this. So here percentile S means it is a string, the name it is string, and age, this is a number, so this is an integer. So if you run it, it will show name Alice and age 30. Now the question is, if we have to align the things. Yes, sure. Kisme? You can print it. You can do it right here. You can just output it here. So this is just one additional statement. This will also run. It will have no problem. Even in here, you can also delete this line and you can put whole of this in print. Just to make to explain you, I just wrote it separately and then put it. You can also print it like this. There is no error. Okay, so there won't be an error. I was just assigning it to a variable so that you understand it clearly how it is done. So I'm also printing it inside the print, so there is no problem with that. Okay, is that clear? Okay. So sometimes what do we want to do is, sometimes we also want to shift values. For example, we want to set alignment, we want to set width. So if you have done, some of you have done web development, there you will put some, for example, I want left width like this. I want the text to be aligned at the center, to be at the left. For that we have also like this alignment and width. So for example, if we have value 42, if we want to print it by having that it should be aligned on the right side with the width 5, then we'll put it like this: print f value 5. So it will have nearly 5 space over here, or 5 width of 5. So you can see it like 5. If I just remove, if I write 0 in here, so it will be like this. Value will be like, if I put 10, so the 10 widths will be given to this. So it will be separated from the value, and there will be nearly 10 space. It depends like how width is defined in it. So here I just consider these spaces as the width. So you can see, if I want some more space, I'll just put 15 or things like that. So I can align it, I can like bring it on the center, bring it on the left, some things like that. Then we have what's called as precision of float numbers. So what I mean by precision of float numbers is, for example, if I have a number like this, 3.1486984 something, it is going on, but I don't want to display this big number. Okay, so I want to only display these 2 digits of precision. That's what is called 2 digits of precision. I want to show the number till a certain degree of precision. Degree of precision means how many digits after this floating point you want to show. Okay, so you got the concept of degree of precision. So I'll write it down: degree of precision. So degree of precision means how many numbers do you want to show after this floating point. After this floating point is there. If I want to show only 2, I'll say I want to get 3.14. That's 2 digits of precision should be there. If somebody wants to get 3, he'll write 3 digits of precision 3.418 like this, 148. So by that we also can have by using up strings we can just put this 0.2f if you see it. So 0.2 means like after this floating point just have 2 digits, 2 floating point values. It will display up to 2 decimal points. So for example, if I have this, if you can see my screen here, let's add some more numbers. So I have 19.9942 something like this. I just wanted to display 19.99 because this people usually don't care about these many numbers. So I just want to have 2 digits of precision, or I want to show 2 decimal points after this point. So you can just write price, then you can say dot 2f. If I write 3f, it will show 3 digits, 3 decimal points after this. You can see it like 19.994. If I write 2, it will show 2 digits after this floating point. Okay. Then the formatting can also be done by str.rightJust and ljust. It means like how do you want to show it at the right, at the left, or at the center. So you can also do like this. For example, this is right justified. This R means right and just means justified. How much do you want to get it right, and how much should it be at the left side, how much should it be at the center. So that you can do. For example, this Alice, if I want to print it and I want to adjust it, I want to move it towards right by the margin of 20, say for example. So I can run this and you can see this Alice, it comes at this, like there is nearly some 20 gaps. So actually we need for that how these gaps are done, you need to understand the format of a page. So I'll just consider that, let's say one space means one adjustment. So if I put 30 here, so you can see it will move again towards the right. So if I want to print go to the left, I'll just write left and maybe for example 5. So you can see 5 because leftmost is 0 is here. So if you move more left, so it means that you are going out of the screen as well. So it won't move. It won't move actually behind a certain point. So I can also put L center. So str.center. So name actually is a string. So I'll just put center. So I'll call it. Center means it will show it at the center. So we have to and yes, if you have to get if you for example got this error, you should be willing to just copy the error and paste it in the Chrome, because sometimes the documentation does change. For example, if there is a function which is deprecated, so you can say here str says like somebody would have got this error, self.diverse value, and you will have to figure out these errors. Maybe I think this function is now deprecated, they don't want it to be centered because they have enough functions of this left and right is it is okay to have this left and right, because center they might have deprecated this function in the Python 3. That's why I'll always say whenever you get an error, just see if this function even itself, if it is a valid function in Python 3. So most of the time some functions don't work even. If you sometimes read code of others, they might have used functions, but when you run that same code on your machine, the problem could be that जो Python 3 है उस वाले में वो function deprecate की गई है, that the function is deleted because for example they might have justification कि rjust or this ljust say it was enough to have these, so they might have deprecated this function. Okay, so I think you now know how to format this output if given an output, so how to format it properly on the screen. So you might have even seen on the websites or even on the softwares कि कोई चीज़ corner में आ जाती है, कोई चीज़ for left में आ जाती है, कोई right में आ जाती है. That's how they do this formatting. Is that clear? So is the formatting whole thing clear to you now?